What it do, everybody? How y'all out there doing this Wednesday hump day evening? So hopefully everybody's having a fantastic week. I know I am. Glad to make it to this stage. And I welcome everybody into another edition of Real Talk for Real Men. I am your host, Lee Black, and we're going to do what we do tonight. And so we got a very good show planned for you tonight, I believe, where we're going to talk about something real like we always do on Wednesday. And so before I get things popping off with the topic and bring you guys up to speed about what we're going to be discussing, let me first introduce my co-host, Miss Mac. Mac, Tasha Mac. What's going on, baby girl?
What's going on, Black? How are you?
I am doing pretty good today. How about yourself?
I'm here. I'm tired, but it's Wednesday, so
There you go. Okay, we got this thing already on the run. I always look at it like this. When I see you guys out there tonight, I know that this is the best part of my week because we're having a great conversation, seeing good friends, and then we'll be on the other side headed towards that weekend. So it's always good. That's the way I look at it. With that said, I already got a couple of my regulars coming in, two of my brothers. I appreciate them, no doubt. My brother Kenny, how's it going, brother Kenny?
What's going on? How you all doing this beautiful Wednesday evening?
Yes, sir. We're doing good. Good to see you, my brother. I love the yellow. I love the yellow. I might have to steal that color from you.
Yeah, it highlights my eyes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And my skin tone.
There you go, my brother. Black is beautiful. That's what's
right.
up.
Already.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I got my other brother all the way from North Carolina. Big boy Bert, what's going on? How you doing, my brother?
What's good, people? How y'all doing? I'm doing great.
What's
yes,
good?
Sir.
What's good, Bert?
I'm good, man. I heard about the yellow. I see you out there. Don't stun on
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. That's what I'm saying. That's summer right there. That's summer player right there. I might have to cop that. That's what's up. So we'll appreciate you guys being there. Hopefully we'll get some more to join. And I see Candace from the candy shop. What's going on, sweetheart? Hope you get a chance to pop in and visit. We got Real Time Talk 101. What's up? That's Mr. Kennard and Brenton. That's my other brother. What's going on? How you doing, my brother? So definitely pop in. So I would appreciate that. Brenton has his own show, and we show up, me and Kenny, there every Mondays on the Brenton Haynes Show. Hey, if you haven't been paying attention, Monday nights, you need to be there. Monday nights, it's real. We talk about some real deal stuff there. And so, Brenton, pop in. And that goes for everybody. I put the link into the commentary section. You do not have to be on for the whole segment. We love pop-ins. If you got something to say, come in and say it. Yes, this is a welcoming environment. We want to see you guys, ladies, whatever. We want you to be a part of this. That brings me to the topic. So normally I would kind of wait for others, but we're going to get this thing cracking. We have what I think is kind of a serious topic tonight, and I posted this. If you're familiar with the Bible, this is Numbers 14:18. And in parentheses, I've got a little bit of a quote from that. And I'm going to read. I see Miss Hannah popped in, looking stunning as ever. I'm loving it. Camera, that's what you call camera ready. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Get my cocktail ready.
There you go. There you go. I got me a little something to sip on tonight. Derek, what's going on, my brother? Appreciate you. So, in case you're just tuning in, the topic tonight is taken from the Bible, Numbers chapter 14, verse 18 in particular. And there's a quote in this scripture. I see we got another guest pump coming in. And so this is my sister. So, hey, we're bringing them all in. What's up, sis?
Hi, what's up, everybody?
Hey, what's up, Sherry?
All right. What's up, Sherry? So I'm getting ready to go into the topic. And the quote from the scripture, I'm going to read it. It says, "The Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. So from that, it's what I took a topic, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children. Now, if you was to read in its entirety, it goes into great detail in the scriptures. Now, I don't want to scare anybody off from the beginning. We're not going to be talking religion. You know that this is about relationships on this show. But I like that quote in particular because what I want to talk about is something that I've noticed a trend here, especially lately. And I noticed we have some parents on the show. And so I want to talk about a situation that I've been kind of witnessing. For you guys out there who are parents watching and on the show, how much impact do you think you play in how your children turn out in terms of the actions that you have done when you were in your youth or raising them? And the reason why I bring that question out, especially for men, I want to talk to just my men for just a second. Kenny, Bert, myself, I'm sure we done our thing out there during the day. You know what I'm saying? We ran them and we ran them hard. And then how many of us have daughters? Kenny, you have daughters, right?
I have one daughter and two sons.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, in particular. And when you think about some of the things we have done, the actions we have done, you've heard that expression before, man, it's going to come back on you. Wait till you get a daughter. You know what I'm saying? And so we get our children, they get grown, they make decisions, and you have an opportunity to stand back and see where they're at. And what I've been noticing is some of my closest friends, this is why this subject is close to my heart. And I've been having these behind the scenes conversations where, by all accounts, they're good parents, provided a good, stable environment. And then you look and you see like where the kids completely go left as young adults, you know. And I'm going to tell you two situations, and then I want you guys to comment on this. One situation I know where this person, in my estimation, is a good father. I'm talking about present, provided a stable environment, really put forth the time, the effort, tried to instill integrity, you know, morality, all those things. What does it say that the person's children got grown and, in the words of the Bible, cursed him to his very face? Don't want to really have anything to do with them. In fact, went so far as to take their case to social media and make it known that you've never done anything for me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have another situation. This one is a mother, raised 3 kids. Now, without going into too much detail, all 3 of the kids, none have graduated high school dropouts, stripping, immoral sex, just bad decision after bad decision. So when I think about visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children until the third and fourth generation, what do you guys think about the idea that what we do, it plays out on our children? Anybody?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, this is how I look at it. There are some things, you know, a lot of times I do beat myself up, and a lot of times I'm a lot more critical of myself, and it might not even be a big deal. But I always wondered, you know, because I was young, you know, I didn't really know myself, you know, how to wait, you know, being, you know, controlling and saying certain things. I don't know what type of impact that really had on my kids. I always tried to be as raw as I could around them. I didn't really want to be fake, and I always let them know that I'm not perfect. So, man, like, you know, a lot of times I still sit here today and I still think about certain things that I did around them, and I was hoping that it didn't have too much of a bearing on them as far as when they grew up to be young men themselves.
Right.
I don't think that it has. I'm not sure. They have never said anything to me about it. But yeah. I listen. All I can say is I tried my best. I wasn't perfect, but I tried to show them how a man moves, whether right, wrong, or indifferent. I was there at all the games and everything. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the tough.
I,
I hope it just didn't have any
That's
bearing on
that's
anything.
why I'm opening this can, and I appreciate you
Yeah.
starting out, Brother Bird, because I'm going to give my own admission here shortly. But Kenny, Sherry, I know y'all had something to say.
Go ahead, Ken.
Oh, you go ahead, Sherry.
I was just gonna say, I always lived by our mother teaching us that kids live what they learn. So I only have one daughter, so I always watch, what I'm saying, what I was doing or saying or the surroundings I had around her, because I didn't want her to get older and think certain things was okay and different stuff. You understand? So I agree with you, Bert. But you think about some of the things you did say and do, because when she was younger, she went through a cursing spell. I couldn't blame nobody but myself, because my mouth is treacherous too, and I had to think about it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I agree with that too. And I just, as in raising a daughter, to me, you have to be extra careful, because she's watching you closely. You know what I'm saying? As a mother, because they want to mimic you, so to speak. And so I just carried myself in a decent way as a woman. And you know what I'm saying, even though I done did my little dirts, she would never know it. You understand? I wouldn't put her in no predicament. And I had one problem with a lot of parents out here today, like the millennial parents, as they call them or whatever. And maybe it's just me, I have a really big problem with women meeting men and bringing their kids around, bringing kids around the man. That's just really distasteful for me. And what are you showing your kids, that this is how it's done? You know what I'm saying? That's no good. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, and we're going to get into some specific behaviors as well. I'm gonna let you go, Kenny.
Um, this is a heavy topic because I think as a parent, that is always in the back of your mind is, did I do the best that I could to raise my children in a positive and nurturing environment. Um, and a lot of times we as parents, when our kids may go south or go left, we beat ourselves up on that because we felt like we dropped the ball. I can personally say I try to um, be live an example in front of them. I also try to be the type to when it comes to discipline, being a disciplinarian, I wasn't a big on whipping. I was big on talking, what's going on, big on telling them there's always whatever you decide to do, there's always some consequences. So I was big into communicating with my children. Now, emotionally, I had some issues that I was somewhat detached, and I had to work through that. But as far as I just tried to be an example for my children. Obviously, I wasn't perfect. None of us are. Parents, there's no manual to learn. You can read all the books you want about how to be a parent, but until you become one, you really don't know. You take a little bit from your own parents and you kind of make it your own. So I think we still. I mean, my kids are grown, and I still worry about them. I still think about what could I have done better to make their adult life better. Did I miss something? Because my daughter right now is dealing with a situation. Um, and yeah, I'm kind of beating myself up over that. I wish I could have did more, but yeah, this is heavy, man. I mean, for parents, you really do. No matter how grown your children get, you really do sometimes look back and say, "Man, maybe I should have did this. Maybe I should have did that." So
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And Tasha, I'm not going to leave you out as well, even though you don't have children. Brenton, so no, this is not discussing it from the aspects of the Bible, but we are talking about the Bible principle, and how it impacts relationships. In this case, our relationship with our children and the decisions that they make. And so even though, Tasha, you don't have children, what's your take on that scripture when you think about it and apply it in your own personal life, whether you have siblings and stuff? from the perspective of what your parents may have done and passed down to you. What's your take?
Well, I had just had this conversation with my mom earlier to ask her, like what she was thinking, like what her thoughts were on it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because I have like a different opinion on it. When first reading it, of course, for what it is, for what the verse is, yes, I take it as like what the parents may or may not have done and the behaviors that may or may not have been passed down. Because even if the child necessarily was not there to witness that behavior, you still subconsciously may exhibit those behaviors. And the reason why I say that is I was watching a show like Divorce Court, and one of these episodes it really like stuck with me because of how abusive like the husband was, just not physically abusive, but just he was just a dog. And to me, I've heard people say it like where you'll feel differently when it's your daughter, when someone's doing it to your daughter. And I think a lot of that, whether you want to call it karma or not, I think it does happen. How you treated someone when you were younger, when you were growing up, even though your children weren't there, someone's going to do the same thing to your kids. So, it's just about you're getting back what you put out into the universe.
And that's where I wanted to comment on, because I need to know, even you said, sis, that you said I've done my dirts, but she might not know about it. So even in those instances where maybe she wasn't right there, but is there a karma effect? Is there a reap what you sow effect? So I'm gonna tell a little personal truth here. I don't talk about this very often. When I say I have a son, it's a situation. I'm not gonna go into that. But I'm gonna say this: me being me, growing up, influenced by my two brothers who are no longer with us. Everything about my personality comes from them. I was weaned at their lap about all of the stuff that I do as a young man, and the women that I went through, and the way I did it. Well, it's funny how life happens, and all of a sudden you get this son, and you got this little person, and Burton and you probably can relate to this. Taking your little man with you on little trips and riding around and pointing out little girls, for him to see, and and you teasing him and you teaching him these lifelong lessons. You think talk to her, this and that, blah 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 blah. Because you want to be a chip off the old block. In fact, that you're thinking to yourself, all this knowledge and wisdom I got, he gonna be better than me. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be ahead of the game. And then what happens when you walk in and your son is about to suck some dicks?
This is not an indictment on anybody's parenting. Let me just preface that. Let me say that.
Okay.
I see your face, Kenny.
Wow.
So how do you process that? Because now you have to go back to a place where, am I being punished for all of the things that I've done to women? You think about R. Kelly or Michael Jordan or whoever, and they have daughters and they turn out to be lesbian. And this is not an indictment on gay. So before anybody start attacking me, but I am saying to you, that's real and that happened. That's real and that happened. So all of these plans that you had thought that you were going to be doing, that's gone. Now there's a different window that you have to face and you have to address, because now you have to start questioning what you poured into him. Did it push him in the wrong direction? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to your point, Derek, yeah, we're all human. We tackle problems head on and we try to do the best we can, but you start to question even the doing the best you can. That's just one example, that I'm giving, of this. Brenton, you said there are a couple of things that need to be considered: DNA and the ability to choose. I can't take complete ownership for our children. I love that you said that, because that brings me to my next question. Are generational curses real? since we talk about reaping what we sow and it's going to come back on you tenfold, and how many of you believe that generational curses are real?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Why do you think so?
I think it kind of goes to the line like, if you want something, insanity is defined as doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. That's kind of goes hand in hand with generational curses. If there's been something going on in the DNA of your generation that's dysfunctional and nobody addresses it, you never seek help or go to therapy, whatever, that will continually be passed down to your offspring. That's just my opinion.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
And anybody, come on.
I think I want to piggyback a little bit off of what the brother said. Now, as far as the mental illness part, so that does run like in my family. And when my boys start talking to me, I picked up on it, and then they start asking me questions. And I'm glad that I was able to be open with them, so they can feel comfortable. Because sometimes you don't feel. I never brought this up to my dad, so I don't know if my dad might suffer from this, like some type of bipolarism.
Right.
But they can just come out of nowhere. And I think when it becomes a curse, like you were talking about, it becomes a curse when it's not addressed. It starts off as that illness, like, oh man, I got to get this treated, and then hopefully next generation, we can all talk about it and they can get help if it does trickle down. It becomes a curse when we don't address it. And in the Black community, it's about, well, go to church. That's the devil messing with you.
Absolutely.
Something along that nature. You know what I'm saying? So that it can become a curse, and I do believe that. And like what the brother said, as far as with DNA, it can trickle down.
Okay. Tasha and Sherry. Oh, go ahead, Tasha. Please go ahead.
I was gonna say that even past, like mental illness, if someone is raised in a family where abuse is regular, it happens, that they are predisposed to it, they're going to believe that is the norm. It is a curse. It is something that they feel like that's how it's supposed to be. There's this story that I was watching. It was a documentary. This lady started getting raped when she was like 5 or 6. Grew up, she had kids, of course, in and out of different foster homes and everything. She herself did the same thing to her own kids because she thought it was normal. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how you show love. That's how you show affection. So absolutely, generational curses are real.
Okay. I want to read something to you guys. Before I read it, Sherry, you have a comment?
No.
Okay, let me read something to you where it talks about, it says, a generational curse describes a cumulative effect on a person of things that their ancestors did, believed, or practiced in the past, and the consequence of an ancestor's actions, beliefs, and sins being passed down. Now, here's the part I want you guys to catch. Our family's history and baggage impacts who we are as people, whether we like it or not. And it gives as an example about a generational curse about divorce. Your parents grew up in homes with divorced parents, so they both lacked the clear picture of what a healthy relationship looks like. And it goes on to talk about that. And what caught my attention to that, again, we're not talking about it in the context of scriptural curses that God put something down on you.
Right.
But I want to apply that to my own, me and Sherry are brothers and sister and brother, to our own situation. When you think about the baggage that your family impacts. We grew up in a household with no father. 11 of us, no father. We weren't raised as Jehovah's Witness. I ended up taking that faith. Sherry did not. All my brothers and sisters, not one of us has more than 3 children, although we came from a huge, big family. And growing up in that environment, we grew up in a very violent household, believe it or not. We was the baddest family on the block. Sherry can tell you, growing up in a household where by the door, we had bats and sticks and golf clubs and big sticks with nails through them and everything. These were weapons we had formed to attack other families, mixing big jars of lye that you clean hardwood floors for to throw on people's faces and stuff. And so this is the environment that we grew up in. you know. And so here we are all these years later, and it has impacted us in some ways, you know. So you wonder about how that impacts you. But I'm gonna tell you one even deeper when you want to talk about curses. My mom lived with her boyfriend for over 30 years. They never married. They never married. Sherry, I want you to answer this. Do you think that that was an impact passed down from us watching that, where my mom had a boyfriend for over 30 years and they never married? If so, how did it impact our family?
Yeah, it was a big impact. It impacted me especially because that's why I was married so young. Because I used to promise myself I wasn't being with no man all no years, and to see how it ended, basically, you know what I'm saying? His family came back in, he lied, you know what I'm saying, and said he didn't have a wife and all this kind of stuff, and he did. So before I got married to my husband, as y'all know, my husband is from Jamaica, I went to Jamaica by myself to make sure no wives were there. And so, yes, it had a big impact.
Mm.
I'm gonna go a step further. You know, this is real talk. We keep it real, you know. Um, I watch my sisters follow in that same pattern because they were raised in a home where marriage wasn't important. It was never deemed important, you know. And so, in reality, of my family, Sherry's married. I have another sister that's married, and the rest of them they kind of shacked up
Mm.
and had kids out of wedlock.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
we weren't raised with a full view of what a marriage or relationship look like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it impacts us, and more importantly, it impacts our kids and some of the decisions that they made in life. So going back to the beginning of this conversation where I talked about, you know, my two friends, me playing armchair psychiatrist, it's a tough spot to be in to talk to my friend where he felt like he's done all he can,
Yeah.
and in his case provided a not just a regular roof over their head. I'm talking about a beautiful home with traditional family role, mother and a father. So where did he go wrong?
Uh, that's you know, I mean he didn't go wrong. And that goes back to what I'm saying. As a parent, you can't beat yourself up over stuff that you know that you did the best that you could and was trying to be the best example for your child. Sometimes our children are going to make their own decisions when they get grown, and sometimes we can't save them.
That's right.
It's nothing we can do. All we can do is love them and get and tell them, look, I didn't been where you going. I can tell you something, and if they want to go ahead and do it, it's nothing you can do as a parent. You can still love them, but sometimes you just gotta let your child go. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just love them,
Mhm.
and
Absolutely.
then hopefully
Can I
they get it. Yeah,
also this, or could it be that those children saw more than what you thought that they saw? That you weren't as good as hiding some of those past behaviors that you thought you had shed.
yeah,
Maybe you picked up on more. And the only reason why I suggest that is because, you know, typically children are attracted to someone, women, we're attracted to someone who's like our father. And men, they're usually attracted to someone who's like their mother. And some of those toxic behaviors that you think that, oh, I left that behind, maybe it crept up with you while you were parenting, you just didn't realize it.
And it's a perfect
right.
segue into where we're going next. Remember, I said to you, sis, that we are going to look into specific behaviors. So, for us who are out here parents, I don't want you to feel like it's too late. And for parents that might be watching, because we don't want to lay some problems out here. We want to try to lay the groundwork for some healing and some way to pull it back in. Because I love what you said, Kenny. On one hand, if they are adults, you have to let them go. You have to, you know, we know we got to let them make their own mistakes. I did it. You did it. We all did it. You know, when I was 18 years old, you couldn't tell me that I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so this is the advice I give my friend that, you know, hey, for right now, he or she, they're an adult. You got to let them make some mistakes. My advice has always been, you hope that as they're out there making mistakes and gaining from experience, they don't do something that they can't come back from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the first aspect of parental guidance, you know, on this road to maybe reversing some of these generational curses, we're going to talk about parental styles. What's going on, Kama? How you doing? And so I want to read something, and we'll talk about the impact of this. The type of parenting style you adopt affects the way your child reacts to you and others in life. An authoritative parent allows feedback from the child, teaching them that their opinion is valuable. The authoritarian parent leaves little room for negotiation and is less warm, often resulting in a dependent and rebellious child. I'm going to stop right there. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Well, and that's called the authoritarian parent.
The authoritarian parent,
Yeah, I agree with that.
It says they allows feedback from the child, teaching them that their opinion is valuable, but the authoritarian parent leaves little room for negotiation and is less warm, often resulting in a dependent or rebellious child. Go, Tasha.
Absolutely, yes. I would probably say my parents were probably like that. But I definitely can say that I rebelled like when I hit 18, because I did. I felt like I'm 18 now. I've done everything that you all have wanted me to do. I've lived my life to how you all wanted me to live my life up until this point. And I felt like that I knew better, and I wanted control. And it does, it was explosive. And for a while there, I did fall out of contact with my dad and my stepmom. Wasn't on speaking term with them for some years, probably from 18 till easily like 20, like 29, maybe.
Wow.
Like I didn't talk to him for like I didn't talk to him for a long time. And it's not, looking back on it now, I can reflect on it now, and see like where I was wrong. But, a lot of other things happened, but I can choose to still be angry, about what I felt that they did wrong. Because it's easy to sit there and say that, oh, you were wrong about that. Like you were wrong for what you did. But how is that going to help now? You just have to learn from it, and you have to let go, because again, it's, it's for me, and for my own health, and for my own, personal development. My brother is still going through that now with my father, because he felt like he didn't do the right things. My dad and my older brother just saw each other for the first time since my brother was 18 years old, and he's 34.
Wow.
Ooh, wow. Tasha, before you leave us with that, because I want you, you're probably not going to be as specific as I am, but having that authoritarian parent who led you to be rebellious, give us an idea when you say you rebelled. You're not going to be probably as blunt as I am, but give us an idea.
Out here.
I want the audience, because I'm a man. And but if women are watching this, I want you to give us an example of what types of things you rebel. How did you rebel? What did it lead to?
Oh man, I was out here effing. Let me tell you, I was out here. I was doing all the wrong things for all the wrong reasons with all the wrong people. I worked at a strip club. I did all kinds of stuff. I took a lot of risk that I had no business taking at that age, but I just felt like I was finally free. So, and that's why, like now, like I'm so in my house, like to myself, because I feel like I've done enough for you, and this one, because I've been in some pretty precarious situations. Like, that wasn't nobody but God.
And so, audience, that was my reason for wanting her to do that, not to embarrass. But sometimes when we see young girls, because keep in mind, Tasha, people don't notice that Tasha's still a young woman. But when we see some of these young girls, the same ones that I exploited, it's quick sometimes for us to think about, what she's doing without looking behind the scenes as to why she's doing it. And here we are now in hindsight with wisdom, understanding that some of these young ladies out there, there's reasons. There's reasons. But anybody else want to speak on that parenting style and the impact of rebelling from an authoritarian parenting style?
The only thing I want to say, the first part to me, I don't think authoritarian parents allow you to speak. That to me was, I don't think they really care about what you think and how you feel. So I would disagree with that first part of that. but yeah, the other part was definitely hands on.
I wanted to see if anybody caught that, Kenny,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
we
I
grew
caught
up
that.
with an authoritarian. Your word didn't matter.
Yeah,
Growing up in our household, we grew up in a household where you cannot close your door. Even when you go to sleep, there is no privacy.
mm-hmm.
It's her house. It's her electricity. It's her
Yeah.
TV. It's her water.
Yeah,
So, and to your point, Kenny, you don't have an opinion.
yeah.
When
But
you want an opinion, you have to get your own place. So go ahead.
That's right. And then as far as I was raised by a single mother, so my mom was she was stern, but she wasn't strict. She we could she allowed my brother and I to express ourselves. Now my brother was a little bit more demonstrative and had a bigger personality than myself, so he definitely would speak. But I kind of was a little bit more quiet and didn't say much until she pulled it out of me. But my mother, her parenting style was she was a little stern, but she was also open to hearing and what you had to say.
So I'm gonna cross over to the permissive parenting style because Kama brought it up as well. Kama says, "I wish I knew about that sooner because at 15 I needed an anvil dropped on my head." So he's saying, if I'm reading you right, Kama, that you wish you had somebody, you wish you had recognized this because you needed that because it talks about a permissive parent mostly allows a child to make their own decisions with little demands, creating a child who lacks self-control. An uninvolved parent simply removes himself or herself as an authority figure and doesn't take an interest in his child's life, leading to a child who is permissive and undemanding in dispositions as well. And so, like the first one, I agree with parts of it. I agree with parts of it, where it talks about, but that permissive style. So again, I'm bringing this out because the goal here to me is from where I sit is you have to find that sweet spot. And I want parents listening to this. And if you are that authority and lay down the law, my word is bond, blah, 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 be careful that you're not creating a situation like for me and Tasha, where the moment we get a little bit of freedom, oh, it's on.
Yeah.
It's on. I was living in my own 3-bedroom house at 17 years old, and I didn't give a damn whether the lights was on or off. There was many months where my lights was off. That didn't stop the show. We lit candles, and I had many nasty, filthy, no good bitches in there as if I had lights on. It didn't make no difference. It didn't stop me one bit. And that's because growing up with all the things that I couldn't do,
right
now, oh my God, you can't tell me anything.
Right.
But you have to be careful on now if you go to the other extreme where you're so permissive, because it talks about letting that child make their own decisions. Talk about that, right? Do we not see that right now where in these new parenting style? I think I'm sorry to put you out there, D Wade. You're literally one of my favorite ball players ever. But to go out on public and say, well, he's teaching us. Be careful. Be careful.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kenny.
And to piggyback off of that too is, the parent that gives their children everything. That can be another, I ain't gonna say bad, but that could be another parenting skill that we need to figure out, because I think those children grow up to feel entitled and feel like the world owes them everything. Well, my mom and daddy, and that's another thing about being spoiled. Well, that baby just spoiled. I don't think we as parents, and it's okay. You want to give your kids everything that you probably didn't have. I get that. Me personally, I know I did. But you got to balance that out. You can't give kids everything they want. You got to, if they want it, you got to say, okay, look, this is how, if you want that, this is what you got to do to get that. That type thing. So some parents give their kids everything they want, and them kids be the most horrible adults because they are so entitled.
Or you
Absolutely.
see in some households where it's a combination of both, but with some children who have the permissive parent, and then the other ones who have the more authoritative one, and that causes a lot of rifts as well. The favoritism, because parents don't want to admit it, but you treat your children differently.
You do. We do. I have three, and I know I do, and I treat them differently because they have different personalities.
Right.
So you have to, the way you discipline and talk to, the way I discipline and talk to my son, my oldest son, I couldn't talk to my youngest son like that because their personalities different. And definitely, I have a daughter in the middle. So that is I can only speak from a man's perspective. Having a daughter is a challenge. I can tell you that much. That is a challenge.
Well, I'll say this. I'll say this. The type of household I was raised in, it was firm but fair. You did have a voice, you did have an opinion, but if you were straight up wrong, you're gonna get them skippity pats. You're gonna get them hands, them paws laid on you.
Okay.
So I kind of adopted that style, but kind of made it my own, so to speak. So as far as when it came to my two boys, I guess because that favoritism was in my family, as far as with my brothers, than more to me or with my sister, I didn't do that with my boys. So, and they even told me, they said, you know what? We don't even know who you love the most.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Because I went through that, and I didn't
That's
want
all right.
to feel that
That's
way.
all right.
That's good.
So it was a little bit different dynamic because that was done to me, but I didn't put that onto my boys. Because I had to love them equally because I knew how it felt not to be loved fully.
Oh wow.
So go ahead, sis.
Well, see, as Freddie said, we grew up with strict parents. But the Lee that you know on here and Tasha that you know, that wasn't the Freddie growing up. You understand? He was very quiet. I was the wilder one, and I was rebellious. But rebellious, like, if she tell me come in at a certain time, I'm not coming in until my party time is over. So I got beat. I would get him to go out with me sometime, 1 or 2 times. So when we get to the door and we gonna get beat, I could push him on and let him get all the beats before me.
Okay. Wow.
This is true.
Wow.
But you know what I realized about that, sis, and in discussing this topic, it's because Mama did have favorites.
Yeah.
In our family, what you talk about. So it's funny that you say that even though Sherry was the rebellious one, but she was favored. I was invisible. I felt invisible, even though I was super smart and all these things. But it was weird growing up in that family because I was vying for my mom's attention, thinking that the smarter I was and the more things I accomplished, the more I would get noticed. But it was a weird thing because I was still invisible. And the siblings that was the problem kids, Sherry and Paul and Jean, they seemed to get all the
attention. Yeah. Because your mother felt like I gotta stay on top of them because they just wilding out. So I got it. And like little Freddie, he good. He ain't he never gives me any problems. I totally get that. Yeah.
He never wanted to go outside.
So look at how it produced us. So here we are. I leave home at 17, and there's a period of time where me and my sister, we didn't lose contact, but we weren't as close. I was out doing my thing, and here we are on Real Talk all these years later, and I come to discover that Sherry is as green as can be. You know what I'm saying? And I turned into the Sodom and Gomorrah one. You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
if you're watching this, I'm telling you, it matters. All of these things matter. And I want to read Joseph's comment. Joseph said there are parents that allow too much freedom, and their daughters 14 having boyfriends to sleep over. And so you have to find that sweet spot, because we say this all the time. You are not your child's friend.
Yep.
I know that sounds cool. It sounds cool that I'm your best friend. Be a parent.
Yeah.
Be a parent first. It's great that y'all can have a fantastic relationship, but you're not their friend.
Because I have that. Me and my daughter, we have a beautiful relationship. Even my mom say, I never seen nothing like it. Like she tell you, she'll call you and let you know when she's leaving from here to there. It's just the way we deal. You understand? But I always used to let her know, I ain't your friend.
You're not their friend.
Yeah, I'm not your friend.
So balance. The key to me, if anything to take away, is balance how much freedom you give. You don't want to be overly authoritarian because it can cause them to rebel, but you don't want to be so loose. And even though, as Tasha said, you do have favorites, Bert made a good point. You want to recognize that as we get older, it matters, because we make, not say nothing as a child, but as an adult, those feelings. So realize children need consistency.
Yeah.
They need order and structure, so realize that. Let's move on to the second aspect of parenting and how this can impact, not having your sins visited upon your children. Let's talk about your own personal example. The way that you interact with others and react to various situations creates a valuable example for your children. When you're calm, helpful, and act with integrity, your child understands that behavior and holds it up as a priority in their life. But if you're dishonest, quick to anger, lazy, I could add a whole lot of other things, those behaviors are also passed down to your children. Agree? Disagree?
Agree.
I don't know.
Get in there, Hannah. Get in here.
I don't know. I'll say this because I have a son who's a teenager. I have a daughter who, damn, she'll be 10. And I know some of my traits they do have.
Uh-huh.
However, I know that like they don't like when I curse. I don't curse. I do curse when I'm driving. Like I curse like a maniac. I have road rage. I'll be honest.
Okay.
But they don't like it. They don't want to hear it, and they try to tell me like, "Mom, like what are you doing?" So I don't think they take that on. However, it depends because some of my tendencies I see in my kids.
Okay.
Like, I am very quick tongue. Like my mouth can be like this.
Okay.
And I see my kids are like, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's me. But I also see the respectfulness that they have.
Okay.
And to my son, he, not saying he didn't have a good example, but my previous marriage was horrible. And I thought he was going to take on those traits as his father. And for him to take on something different and be like the gentleman that I want him to be, it kind of makes me see that sometimes you kids can create their own path. They'll take little things from you, but they still can create their own path.
Yeah.
So I want to ask a question because you said, give us the ages again of your children.
15 and 10, 9, which she'll be 10. 15
Okay.
and 9.
Okay. So at this stage where they're living under mom's roof, do you worry that the exposure to, in this case, the language, even though they're not using it now, do you worry that 5 years from now, when they're 20 and maybe on their own, that all of those things now will matriculate and is there?
For my son, yeah. I didn't hear him curse, but I was told when he plays video games, he cursing. He won't let me hear it. But my daughter she's different. Like she's really different. Like I don't think she'll curse or drink or anything. Like her whole it's not saying she's nothing like me because she does have my attitude. But besides that, she's her own little person, and I don't see her cursing. Like she don't like any type of bad language. I was listening to an edited song, and she flew up there to try to change. I was like, well, this don't even have cursing in it. It's editing. She didn't want to hear it. So she might, but might not. It's like she's her own different person. She's not like neither one of us.
I got you. I got you.
Now my
Your
son, he gonna be cursing his behind off. I already know it.
and so I just want you to be careful. Joseph said they probably use it around friends, and I want you to recognize I was like my sister just told you, I was that kid, perfect in every way, no bad language, no this and that, and I'm an artiste when I curse now, you know.
I was that child too, though. You know, I was a PK. I didn't curse as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, you ain't been cussed properly until you've been cussed by me, and I didn't do it as a kid. I can promise you
that. Many languages.
absolutely, because you store it up inside. You really store it inside. So be all I'm saying is be mindful, because the one you think that's going to take on those traits, it might not be that one.
Right.
Ooh, don't say I'm my baby girl.
I'm just being honest. I'm being so honest.
Don't
you know.
Say that.
Anybody else before I say something?
You know, it's funny. My kids, well, they grown now. My thing is, I'm more their mother and I, when it came to situations, I was always the more laid back one and the more calm one, and would just, wouldn't get to one way or the other. Whereas my ex, she would go to 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. So it's funny. So it's funny now. My kids gotten older, and she's mellowed out a little bit now. But my kids got older. They always say, now we really talk to Pops about this, because we know he ain't gonna fly off the handle. He's gonna listen. He's gonna just kind of, okay, this is what we gonna do. They said, "Whereas Mama, you gonna go crazy. You're gonna be cussing and all this kind of stuff." So, but I do believe your children do take some of the traits of both their parents into their adulthood for certain situations.
I believe it with every certainty. Sis, go ahead real quick.
No, I was about to say, Kenny, can you believe it or not? My daughter's nothing. She's not like me. She's like Freddie.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I can see that too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. My niece is. Yeah, she's very much like me.
Yeah, they'll take on the trait of a family member. That DNA. You just never know.
That's coming up next. And that subject is coming up next. It's coming up. But to this personal example part, what does it say? Because this is why I want to bring. I brought this to the forefront. So if you are a mother and you're not spending time with your daughter, and what if the example she's seeing is that how you scam men, you get what you want, you know what I'm saying, you party, all night, sleep all day, what if your whole world is how you look, it's wrapped up in your hair, your beauty, your this, your that. Be careful. You could inadvertently be passing those traits on to, especially a daughter, that what's most important in life is her looks and how she appears to other people, pleasing men, getting over, her value when it comes to work ethic and things like that. So you cannot be surprised then when you the hot girl summer bitch. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can twerk like I'm keeping it funky, y'all. You can't nobody twerk like you. You got the you banging out there. You doing it. So then don't be surprised then when your daughter gets to be 17, 18, and everything about her is wrapped up in, her appearance. She it stunts her growth, and her values are all tied up in her looks. You know what I'm saying? And if you are that woman where everything you got is coming from tricking men to get this and that, now don't be mad when she goes out and does the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
True.
I know examples. And then even as a father, if you have daughters, it's not just on the mother.
Right.
If you're a father and you passing, I know friends right now who my daddy taught me game. He passed on game to me. Blah 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 blah. And then you wonder now, how does this same young lady who's supposed to have game end up in an abusive relationship? End up being completely dependent on a man, you know, because her whole self-worth is tied up in how does he see you. So watching your personal example, even as a father, and how you treat women, an example they're watching. So be careful, dads out there, as you passing on game. You really are passing on game, but what's going in here may not be what you want to stick.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
you,
facts. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying. So you want to be careful of that, because that's a whole nother ball game.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, that's right. I agree with everything you said. That's
Yeah.
total facts.
So I told you we was coming to family relationships next. So my niece, who some kind of way skipped over emulating mom and dad, and somewhere in there, uncle was the one that she has ways like me. So let's talk about our family relationships here for a second. The way you approach your relationships towards other family members in general often affects the way your child interacts with others. For instance, a divorce can make your child feel angry and abandoned if not handled properly. I'm skipping over some parts. When it comes to your approach to relationships in general, it's likely your attitude and approach that affects your child, not the actual personal agenda of those involved. So I don't want to read all that other stuff, but even how you deal with other family members has an impact on decisions that your own children make. And so I'm gonna put my sister on the spot for a second. Sherry, why do you think your daughter bypassed watching mom and dad and picked up on what I do?
Um, it puzzles me to this day. I really don't know. I always been to her. I always was a mean person, so to speak. Like when I'm dealing with other people, because I don't know. I can't tolerate too much bullshit. Like I'm a type of person. A person come up to my car. If your breath stink, I'm rolling my window up. Like different little
Absolutely.
or they talk. What I can't stand is, let's say I have a cousin in the car. A girl is talking to her. You come to my window. What are you on my side for? I roll the window up in your face, and I point, go over there. Like so, people always said I was stuck up. But I ain't.
Okay, but let's take the focus off you. Let's take the focus off you. We're
But she,
talking about her traits and qualities. What is it that about her to you that reminds you of me?
what remind her remind her, of you is cherish. Really and truthfully, she don't really have like you is you. She don't really have too much time for like a lot of foolishness for one, and for two, she um she says what she says, she mean what she says, and that she let it be done. She really don't drag on with a lot of what I'm saying, long with things like that. That I used to see that in you. You was like that as we was growing up, and also pretty much like a lot of ways that you deal with people. She's professional. You know what I'm saying? And she can switch up. Okay, like you're doing this show. You be professional in the show, but as you just told them, nobody ain't been cussed like out unless you cuss them out, and that will be her. Now, if you push her buttons, that will be you. Then you will see a whole nother side of her that you wouldn't like.
I got you.
It's like a different person.
So I
You know,
want you to do it. So I want you to do an exercise, and don't answer this. Don't answer this, but I want you to think about this exercise, because I got an exercise for the whole group somewhat coming up at the end. I just want you to think about what you just said, and I want you to ask yourself inside a question. It's rhetorical. Ask yourself a question. So, growing up in your household and the life you provided for her, what was it that she said? She said, "Well, I love mom. I have a great relationship with mom, but I want to be like Uncle Freddie." Even though dad was there? Don't answer this. Don't answer this. Because there's an exercise at the end I want to present to everybody. But I want you to start thinking about, in this case, why did she bypass mom and dad in some ways and say, well, but this is the example that I want to follow? I just want you to think about that part. Now, while you're doing that, anybody else talk to us about family relationships and how you believe that they impact you personally or decisions that have been made with you and your children. And while you're thinking, I'll tell a little story. I told you, I told you a little story. Woo! I'm trying to see how real I can get here. How real I can get here.
We're an hour in.
Huh?
I said we an hour in.
You want me to go black?
Go there. We got to go there.
You want me to go black? Why
go ahead, Kenny.
Why you try to edit your words?
I'm editing myself. Go ahead.
You know, I would say, far as I can say, the relationship that I didn't have with my father formed the relationship with my children, and saying that is, I wanted to make sure that I was going to be there for them, because I had daddy issues, I had abandonment issues, that didn't come to surface until after my mother transitioned. So I just wanted to make sure that I was going to be there for my children, regardless, physically and emotionally, and that made me be probably a little bit more protective of them, I guess you would say. I was very protective of them. I was somewhat emotionally unattached too, and I know this sounds weird because me being not having that father love that I yearned for, I didn't know how to love my children, so I had to work on that. But I was also very protective of them too. So, so that definitely my non-existent relationship with my father at the time, it definitely formed my own relationship with my children. I wanted to make sure that I would be there for them, even if I was functioning correctly or not. And I know that sounds crazy, but I just wanted to know that their father was here, you know. So
right. No, it doesn't. You know. Hannah, Bert, anything?
I'll say it's so crazy. I was talking to my friend the other day, who Bert calls my sister, and I was just saying like the different things. Growing up, how my parents were. Like my mom was very tough on me. Like my sisters can get away with murder, literally. But like I used to get abused a lot as a child. And my mom worked for DHS, and I used to just get beat for anything. Like stuff I didn't do, it didn't matter. And I was saying, like, I was wondering how I am now. Like I always told my mom I would never cry. Any beating I would never cry. When I got older, I was real tough. Like I wouldn't share no emotion. I wouldn't shed no tears. I wouldn't be emotional. I was just like real hard and tough. And I was saying the other day, I was like, I wonder, was it because I wouldn't cry as a child or wouldn't share no emotion? How it took to now I could be a little more emotional, but it was really hard for me to like really share emotion. Then when it comes to my kids, I would share emotions with them. So I always loved them. I wasn't hard. My kids don't even get beatings, and I think it's because I was a child so much. I don't beat my kids. They won't get me. We have like truth hour. You tell me what's going on, but I don't beat my kids. And I wonder, is it because the upbringing I was in? And then I was also a preacher's kid. So, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child, that whole mindset that will have you thinking, no matter what, I got to beat you. And I'm like, that's not the answer. So let me ask you a question. My heart is hysteria.
So let me ask you a question. Your children now, how much involvement or exposure do your children have with your parents?
A lot of exposure.
Okay.
My parents aren't like they were when I was growing up. I don't know who they are. I don't know who these parents are.
Okay.
I don't know who these
Say
parents
that
are.
all
You
the
know,
time.
you know
They're
what's
not,
funny?
they're not my
I get that. I get that.
That's
I
normally
get
how it
that.
works, Hannah. They
I get
totally
that.
changed. And you like, who are these
I get
people?
that.
Yeah,
I
I
get that.
get it. Yeah.
My youngest sister is 17. She can go and do whatever she wants. My mom don't question. She don't say anything. My other sister's 21. My mom does nothing. She could with the parties. I couldn't even wear lip gloss. So I don't know who these parents are
Right.
because that wasn't growing up with
I
me.
get
I was
that.
like
I
the
get that.
test dummy.
I get that. I get that. And so let me say this, and as I was contemplating how to edit myself, and because again, I don't want to use names and I don't want to hurt anybody, but we all know that sometimes our kids don't grow up in the same house as us. And so that in of itself is a challenge because what your moral code or values might be may be different from the parent that has custody. And so I think about that, and you talk about visiting the iniquities, on our children from this perspective. I feel like I was on the sidelines a little too much looking back on it now because again, my son, he doesn't know any of our family. Any. Any. So it was a completely one-sided exposure to her side of the family. And looking at that now, I foolishly thought that I could overcome what he was being exposed to on the other side by my own values, because of, again, thinking that if he riding with me a lot and spending the weekends with me at times, and I'm pouring this stuff into him. But you know what I've come to learn is that the avalanche of exposure from the family relationships on that other side, I didn't stand a chance. I never stood a chance because the example that he saw was uncles and aunts and grandparents and this and that their values didn't align with my own, and I never realized it until it was too late that, so here I am trying to impart all these life lessons into him about how to be a man, how to be a black man at that. But the moment he leaves me, what's being poured into him was everything that I don't agree with. And so now you have a young man out here in these streets today, July 21st, that is as confused and mixed up as he want to be. No real direction. He's not a leader. He's a follower. He's really at the mercy of the elements, and even examples I talked about at the beginning. What if you have instances where you and the baby mama are at each other's throats and you're saying negative things, she's saying negative things? So that example I gave of my friend earlier too, where all that he's provided for his daughter, she cursed him to his very face. Because when she got older, it's weird that all that he gave her, it doesn't matter. She literally feels like in this moment that I wish I had went with my mom, even though he raised her. Yeah. So it broke his heart. Go ahead, Bert.
Like, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I know you were talking about with your son and a lot of things that you didn't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Would he be open to like a face to face and talking with you so you can kind of school him a little bit, or coming up to you so he can kind of sit under you for a little bit?
So here's where we are with that situation where, like I said at the beginning, my hope is that he has to go through this period. I realize where he's at now, I can't reach him with my logic. And yeah, I literally pray that, well, whatever he goes through, he doesn't, when he comes up out of it, he will not have done too much harm that he can't come back from. And when I use that expression, I'm saying it in the sense that I hope that when he comes up out of it, he doesn't have HIV, even though people are living today with HIV. But I would hate that. I know that there was a point for me when I realized, okay, damn, I don't know it all. Damn, I do need to listen. But the world is different now. It's faster now. It's less caring now. And so when I say he has no direction, he's at a point where let me keep it honest, where he feels somewhat abandoned by me. I moved away, and then with the mom, he's angry with her that you should have been tougher, because what I was telling him, now he sees that to a certain extent, but at the same time, why didn't you stick to, why didn't you give them their own examples? So getting that misinformation, so this relationship is not good with either one of us. So this is somebody flying by the seat of his pants out there. And so that's why I say that I hope that when he comes up out of whatever he's going through, that my God, he's not HIV positive or, with a felony or locked up in jail, because then it's really too late now at that point, where your freedom is taken away from you. So it's a horrible situation to be at the mercy of time. At the mercy of time. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because I know you were saying that, your dad wasn't really wasn't a part of your life and everything. Do you kind of see that like within your son? Is he like kind of showing you like how the way you possibly could have been at that age, or was it like, it's something different?
I honestly can't answer that, Bert, because I have zero idea what it's like to have a father or a grandmother. Right. When I hear somebody talk about what it's like to have a father, I have no concept of what that even feels like. None whatsoever. I don't know what it feels like to have a grandmother. I have no idea whatsoever. And even me being a kid, I am so independent. For the better part of my life, I've lived in cities where no family was around, because I realized from this generational curse, I was on my own. There is no safety net underneath me. That you have to succeed, because there's nobody you can depend on. My family contact, you're looking at her. That's the one family that has consistently been in my world my whole life. So I covet that. But with anybody else, it's very odd. And I fear that I passed that on to my son in some ways, that, again, I'm at the mercy of time. I'm truly at the mercy of time here. And even the advice I gave my boy about, his daughter, is, you said it, Kenny, earlier, she's grown. There's nothing you can do right now. You can't go make her love you, make her talk to you. You just have to wait.
Yeah.
You got to wait it out.
How old is your son, Black? How old?
He will be 20 this month.
Okay.
Wow,
So he's 19. Right? He's 19 right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I feel your pain, brother. I mean, believe me, I can.
That's a tough dynamic.
It's a horrible situation, and there's other layers to this. Tasha knows there's other layers to this. When I tell people it's a Jerry Springer situation, there's other, like, again, other relationships that have tainted who he is. And I'm trying to be respectful here,
Right.
As much as you could be.
Right.
Exactly.
And let's be honest, 19 is not, I mean, our kids aren't grown and equipped at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, because their brain hasn't even fully developed until they're 24. So, I mean, they ain't even adults yet at 18. But unfortunately, in our community, when our kids turn 18, we like, you grown now. You get the up. But I digress. That's a whole nother topic.
There you go.
We got to do better with our nurturing our children and making them, let them become adults, and don't kick them out and say you grown.
There you go.
Anyway,
there you go.
That's a whole nother topic.
I thank you, Kama. I thank you, Kama. Kama said this needs to reach more ears. I'll keep sharing. That's the other thing. We don't talk about this in a real way in the Black community. You know, we keep all this bottled inside, and it's all of
Right.
our dirty little secrets, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like you said,
Yeah.
Joseph, we got to do a better job at sending our kids out in this
Chopper.
world better prepared,
Yeah.
you
Not
know,
send the kids out in this world.
Yeah.
because the world is rough, you know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
thank you. I thank you guys for the comments, because this is real.
Can I
Yep.
say this back? Where
Please.
where you were talking about, on the previous point in regards to family and relationships,
Uh-huh.
there are those families that don't deal with extended families.
Are you gonna
My
turn that back?
family was one of those. So
Mm-hmm.
my involvement with other family relationships just extended as much as to my grandmother
It's okay.
and to my aunt, with a little bit of my uncles, but not too much. So to me, that's dangerous in itself, because you're kind of in a self-enclosed bubble where that's kind of it.
Yep.
And you have your friends, where you might go to school, and those relationships that influence you, those outside ones. And that's just as damaging and dangerous, because
Absolutely.
you can't exist in that bubble because it's unrealistic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I say this is it's complicated. So we're not going to solve all of this, but I hope that I'm putting all this on the table for us to talk about it, and hopefully when the camera's off, we can think about it and
Mm-hmm.
examine. So I tell you, I got an exercise at the end that I want everybody to take away from this. The final step I want to look at is parental involvement. So your involvement in your child's success is an accurate indicator of overall achievement. Leaving your child to flounder on his own, and he may not do well as a child who had encouragement and support at home. Your child looks to you for support and encouragement, but when you take a passive role in his education, in his behavior, this could result in negative implications.
Yep.
That pa- that
Right.
passive role, and again, we I want to talk about that first part about it says your involvement in your child's success and what that looks like. As African Americans on social media in particular, you know what? We celebrate all the wrong things.
Yeah.
We celebrate all the wrong things. When and if our child does make it to graduation, we go well overboard. They have conquered the world.
Mm-hmm.
We throw the biggest lavish parties, and inadvertently, people, we're sending the wrong signal that you've made it.
Right.
You really haven't. You
Yeah.
know, your
Yeah.
child, by the time graduating high school, that should be a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
The success should be, what are you going to do now? What's next? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because we think, and somebody said it a minute ago, when they turn 18, out the door. I got you through high school. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're good, out the door. But have you really prepared that child to be successful in life? Because guess what? If you haven't started teaching that kid from 7 and 8 years old, even younger, how to clean house, how to wash dishes, how to do laundry, taking out the garbage, how to do little chores, washing the car, you're not instilling in them even something as simple as the value of work,
Life skills. Yeah.
life skills.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I don't want to monopolize. Anybody wants to comment on that part?
No, I mean, you hit it, Black. Like you say, high school, graduating high school, that should be an automatic. I mean, everybody just the pomp and circumstance of all that. I mean, that's cool, but okay, now we got to have a game plan. That's the end of the first quarter. You still got 3 more quarters to go. So that's cool. We got through that first 12 minutes, but now
Absolutely.
let's move to the next. What plan are we gonna have? Okay, is college what you want to do? Cool. If that's not, well, we got to set up a plan. You want to start a business? Okay, this is what we got to do. You want to go to trade school? Okay, you learn a trade. This is what we got to do. So Yeah, I think we as black parents, we have dropped the ball. I can honestly say in certain aspects with my children, I was supportive and everything, but I did drop the ball in certain areas, especially in entrepreneurship and life skills and just certain things like that. You know, I did drop the ball on that. And you know, I'm still trying to catch up with that with them. But yeah, we got as parents, we you don't stop being a parent because your kid turns 21. Let me say that too. So just because your kid grown don't mean you can't you stop being a parent and stop trying and start you can't and keep instilling stuff in them, dropping knowledge and wisdom and whatever into them as well. So
Kenny, I gotta comment. I gotta applaud you, my brother, on that. I won't. Go ahead on, Bert, but I'm not gonna forget my. I gotta come back to that. Go ahead.
No, you can go. You can say what you're gonna say.
Well, I want to say this. Here I am at 53 years old, and I want to comment on what you just said. Do you know what? You're never too old to still get pearls of wisdom from your parent. You know,
facts.
but we don't seem to value having those conversations. I'm 53 and talking with my mom, some of the best conversations even now. It's weird because she still has those pearls of which she's seen stuff that I will never see in my lifetimes. You know, she's born in 1935, you know, so she's lived through so much. And you know, sometimes we can get to a point where we think we're grown and we know enough. And I realize that now. So that's why, again, I'm even saying I'm at the mercy of time because I don't know. Will it take a year, 2 years? But I have to be prepared for that moment to when, if it's 22, 24, 30, when he figures it out. You know, I have a nephew and one of my sisters, she used to call me crying about he ain't gonna get his life together. And he was in his mid-20s and he's smoking reefers and this and that. And I would say to her, yes, he is. Give him time, you know, he's gonna figure it out. And then somewhere in there, it kicked in when he got to be about 30 years old. So all of a sudden, and you meet this same nephew, he's coming to visit me next week. Got his own house, got 2 cars, holding down a job, got him a beautiful girlfriend. Even his taste in women has changed because sometimes you have to wait it out and still pour those little nuggets of wisdom in him, even though he's 30, 26, 7, 8, you know, because you never know when that light bulb moment is going to kick in that, you know what? Dad was right. Mom was right. You know, so don't give up. You know. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hannah.
I was gonna say I don't know. So I kind of do both. I celebrate all my kids' accomplishments, no matter how big or how small, because I just feel like they need to be celebrated. I also talk to my kids daily what they want to do, their goals, what they want. Just small little things I see, I try to bring it out of them. I even try to teach them how to save. More so, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a college graduate. I'm back in school getting another degree, but I don't push college on my kids. Why? And a lot of people tell me, "Oh, you're not gonna let your kids go to college." No, I'm not gonna force them to go. However, if they want to be an entrepreneur, if they want to take a trade, you're not gonna sit around and do nothing because I work, we work, and I have my own business. If y'all want to take on your own business or do whatever, I want to encourage that. But I feel like what Kenny said, a lot of us in the black community don't really know how to encourage sometimes because we're so used to having to get out young, having to work, having so much that we don't realize you can't force these upon these kids now because you never know. So I feel like we do need I do both. I do encouragement and I also try to figure out what do you want to do in life because what you won't do, you're not going to sit. Now I'm not pushing my kids out of 18. That's not my goal, and they won't be out of 18. I say that because I moved out of 18, and not because I had to. It was that household was just pure hell, so I was out of there. But I don't push that on my kids. However, when you're ready, you're going to make your own decision. You're going beyond high school. You're going to do something with your life. So I do believe that we should try to encourage but we also should have a mindset and try to teach them how to save and do things now. Because my daughter is 9, and I make her read to me every day. And early while she was reading, she was talking about dentist. I said, "You want to be a dentist when you get older?" She was like, "No, not yet. I'm still thinking." But you still have to ask, because they're never too young to figure out what your kids want to do in life.
I agree. I agree with that. And I'm going to pay you a compliment here in a second. Joseph said, my kids are going to know how to balance a checkbook, invest, have good manners, etc. Bravo, my brother.
Yeah,
Bravo.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Bravo.
That's
Bravo.
what's up.
But I want to add to that. Be sure you're setting the example for them to watch. We all know this we've heard this from the beginning of the time. They watch what you do,
Not what you
even
say.
more than what you say. And so I told you, hon, I'm going to pay you a compliment here in a second. You have a son and you have a fiance. And the videos that you guys post many times, I love them.
Me too.
Because to
Glad you
me,
said that.
you're setting an example that they could see what a healthy relationship looks like. So
I'm
when
glad
I
you said
see
that.
Bert cooking in the backyard, and y'all, I think your son had a graduation, and
Yes, sir. Yeah,
you guys were
something.
celebrating it or
Yeah.
whatnot, and Bert was dancing. What I loved about that example was, Bert, to you, my brother, you're setting an example that you don't have to be hard all the time. I like that you're playful, you're fun, but you're a man.
Yes,
You're a man,
sir.
you're a real man with it, you know. And so I'm saying it to you, Hannah, because you have a son. There are things that, as much as you want to teach, it has to come from a man. It has to come from a man seeing that example, and that he's there providing an example. Believe it or not, again, because here I am. I moved away when I was 17 years old, moved down south, and for the first time in my life, I was living with my sister and her husband. And my one example to this day, I got to see my brother-in-law, what it meant to be a family man, to hold family meetings and to mesh out discipline and to have chores. And I was 17, you know, and so I had a measure of responsibility. But to this day, Harold is the example of what I know what a man is supposed to do. Get up and go to work every day. You know, if your belly is hurting, suck it up. Go to work. You know what I mean? And so I mean, I can sit and tell you all these examples, and I see that in Bert because I watch your videos and the way he treats you. Because whether you know this or not, you're setting an example for your daughter that this is what you should be looking for in a man.
Exactly.
And for your son that this is how you should be treating a woman.
Exactly.
You know. So
Exactly.
I have to pay you guys that compliment.
I'm glad you went there. Salute to both of you all, because I'm with Black. I watch y'all videos and I think it's dope. And I comment and I'll give you the hearts. Keep doing it, because we need to see more. We need to see more of that. So salute to both of you all.
We have to
Can I
have
say
more.
one thing?
Sure.
I'll say this, and I appreciate this man right here, because my son is the reason why I got a divorce. My previous marriage, I was working in New York, living in Philadelphia, still coming home, cooking, doing homework, getting his clothes out, doing so much, still going through verbal abuse. It was a lot. And my son, one day I was just sitting in the room, was coming in from work, trying to get myself together. And my son came in the room. He was 5 and a half, almost about to be 6 at the time. You never know what kids can see, because I thought I was sheltering them. And my son said, "Mom, you're not happy." And I said,
"Wow,
I'm sorry." He said, "Mom, you're not happy."
Wow.
I'm like, "I'm fine." He's like, "You're not." And that Monday, I filed for divorce.
Wow.
And you never know what your kids see. And I thought I was sheltering from them. He was so young. And my daughter, she was still younger at the time, but you never know what your kids see.
Right, that's right.
And I'm thinking I'm sheltering them, and I'm doing this and that, but
they see.
No,
they see.
They know. Yeah,
they see. And since you're in the witness protection program, you're so dark there. but
because he want to look at TV and stuff.
But I was gonna throw you in there on Hannah's on the tail end of Hannah's. That somebody telling you that, and yours came from a 5.5-year-old. I can quickly tell I went to visit my sister this is funny that you brought that up because that time we were separated physically. We were always still talking, but I showed up and Sherry was with somebody at this particular time. And I think I was visiting for like less than a week. And I'm sitting at Sherry's table and I'm watching her and her new boyfriend or whatever. Tony wasn't there at this time. And, by the end of the trip, my last date night or there, whatever, I'm sitting across from my sister and I said to her, I said, sis, you're not happy. And the look on her face was shock. She said, well, why do you say that? I said, because I know you. And anyway, without going too much into detail, that relationship went its way because sometimes that it just has to come somebody who loved you enough
right
to tell you the truth.
Yep, that's facts.
Very true.
True.
So Sherry, am I lying?
No, you're not lying. That's true, but it almost got me in jail.
Well, but you got out of it.
Yeah.
But you got out of it. So I only got 30 minutes, and I want to get to this little exercise at the end. I want to pass on to you guys to take something away from it. But again, how do we break the cycle? The iniquity of that we might have as parents falling upon our children. There's a few things, and I'm not going to go through all of these with any great detail because these are things that jot them down if you like, but these are things that we know works. This is indisputable. How do you combat that? Love and affection. Love and affection. As a parent, that love has to be unconditional. And it took me a long time to realize that. When I told the example of walking in and finding my son about to suck some dicks, notice I didn't say dick, I said dicks with an S on it. Multiple dicks. It was hard for me to have to come to terms with that. Look, y'all don't know.
I know that wasn't
as a man.
Yeah,
for a while I couldn't look him in the face.
Yeah, that's tough to process.
But you have to come to a place where
right.
Look,
right.
I still love you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
So I wasn't going to go out there and say become the best dick sucker you could be. Now I wasn't going to give that advice. I wasn't going to do that. And please don't suck them around me. But but I have to love you.
Right.
I have to love you.
You always gotta go there.
I'm just, look, some of the shit you gotta laugh at because
stop you from crying.
Laugh now, cry later.
Laugh
yes,
now, cry later. Yes, sir.
Yep.
So love and affection, is that one thing that that's how you combat it though. And when I say affection, affection doesn't have to always come just from the woman. I grew up in a household where I don't remember being hugged.
I'm glad you just mentioned that, man.
Go ahead, my brother.
I'm glad you just mentioned that, bro, because my son is 28, my youngest is 24. And I just started, every time I see them, I make sure I hug them and I kiss them on the forehead.
I'm glad you do that, brother.
And I just started doing that. And because as most men, we don't get that type of affection from men because it's taboo if you hug or you kiss, But I had an epiphany when I was watching some show, and then I was like, man, I said, I don't even think I don't hug my sons. I mean, they've never really got that affection from me. I said I got to do better. So I told my sons, I said, I know y'all don't want to. I said, but every time I see you guys, I'm gonna hug you and I'm gonna kiss you and tell you I love you.
There you go.
I'm glad you do that, brother, because I do the same to my son. My son is like 6'4". I kiss him right on the forehead. I kiss them both on the forehead.
I get it. Both my sons are a little bigger than me, but I don't care. I'm gonna grab them and hug them and kiss them on the forehead. I love you, son.
They love
and keep it moving.
And they respect and love the fact that he does that.
It shows the example that you can be masculine.
Right.
You show love. That's the duplicity of being a man.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Another one that we gotta put more into is skillful communication. You
Yes.
know, and I structured this in such a way because it's not just talking to our children. You have to do it skillfully. And when I say that, I'm gonna use an example. When they're grown, you have to your relationship with them has to evolve. You know, Tasha, you talked about early, that distance away from your dad. What's your relationship now when you have a conversation with your dad after having been the prodigal daughter in this case and coming on back? What's
Right.
that what's that communication like now? Because I want you to share that with
I would like to know that. Yes.
No. I would say it's definitely it's more intentional. I can say that. It was never just contentious. But it's definitely more intentional now, and it's more open and things. There's still some things that I'm not going to discuss with my dad. I'm not
absolutely,
going to discuss
All
certain
right.
subjects
Yeah.
absolutely,
in mixed company. I'm not going to do that.
right,
But it's and he's a man of very few words. Like he will only say something if he feels like he needs to say it.
right.
So, but I'm the only girl, so I definitely feel loved. I definitely feel favored. So,
Oh,
but
you are. Oh, you are. Believe me, I got only one. It's
Absolutely,
too. You are.
absolutely.
but it's still very good. And of course, now as an adult, the relationship that you have with your parents, like when you become an adult, is totally different. And maybe that's why like a lot of us feel like I don't know who these people are because these are not the people that raised me.
Right, 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 right.
But it's very good. It's refreshing too because not everybody has that ability. Because some people are still holding on to those things that happened to them in their childhood,
That's
and
right.
and they don't have that. So
That's right.
That
Tasha, how
that
many brothers do you have?
I have four brothers. We don't talk about
Woo.
one who's in jail. We gonna get him out. But I'm the only one that claims him. So the other ones they don't
Wow.
claim.
Oh wow.
I'm the
Okay.
one that claims him.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
It's
Wow.
a whole other story. This child came out of nowhere when I was in high school, and boom, bam, wham,
Ah.
you
Oh,
gotta
Oh,
you
got
okay.
you.
gotta
All
know.
right.
Okay.
I got
So
you.
it
Got
was
you.
one of
Well,
those.
guess
Okay.
what, Tasha? I met my brother and sister from Germany on Facebook.
Oh.
Nice.
Well, my dad was in the army, and they're 3 years younger than me.
and
Oh.
so what I love about hearing this, anytime you sit here thinking that it's only my family, it is
Right.
not.
It's not. That's right.
On
Every
Facebook.
family has
Yep.
these little
Hmm.
intricacies, and so that's why that skillful communication is so vital because as adults now you have to let it evolve. Number three,
Mhm.
the ability to manage stress. You know,
That's big.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That is big.
I'll let you speak on it. Speak on it, co-host.
That is something that I don't even think a lot of adults now that can do that. Millennials, I don't know what's wrong with us. We walk around with so much anxiety and just stress
Yep.
over nothing. And it's because that we weren't taught how to manage that because you were taught to just deal with it. Just suck it up. It'll get better. Pray over it.
Yep.
Leave it alone. Stuff
Yep.
like that. Sometimes I just need a little bit more than that. I tell everybody, I feel like I'm a fake adult. I'm perpetrating out here. I live by myself. I'm paying for my own bills.
She
But
says
I
that all
do,
the time.
I
She
do,
says that all the time.
but I
A
do
fake
feel
adult. Okay.
that the ability to manage stress, that is a skill that I don't think everybody learns how to to do that, and it's still learning. It's a constant thing. You're constantly learning how to deal with that.
Absolutely. And I love that you highlight that this is a busy world with all the technology and social media, and we're supposed to be so connected. It's also very, very stressful. And that's why a lot of these young people, they haven't really been taught coping skills. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were built from something tougher. That you talk about my mother, I'm gonna talk about your mother. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
I
But
teach my kids
Mhm.
to dozens.
you know,
Y'all
you
Yeah.
know
know
Yeah.
exactly. But they're watching you how you manage stress. And to Tasha's point, have real conversations. You know what? It's okay to tell kids we can't afford something. We can't
Yes.
get this. You know what I'm saying? Because you're teaching them that not everything is for you. Not everybody's gonna love you the same way I love you.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
You know, teach them real skills about how to cope and manage stress, because guess what? It ain't going nowhere. You know, that's to the day we die.
It
You
only
know,
gets worse.
it only gets worse.
Woo!
You know,
But you know
number.
what though? I think you can find little things to help you cope with stress. Because Bert knows some things people put me through. He tries to figure out what you say one day. How do I do it? How do I bounce back?
Yeah.
Like I had mentally realized that I'm in charge of my own happiness. So when I try to allow other people or other things to upset my happiness, then I'm not in charge anymore. So I decided I'm in charge of my own life. So I think that's how I manage stress. I just realized I'll take a deep breath. I'm like, all right, I shouldn't be in this situation, but guess what? I'm in charge of my own life, and I'm going to take advantage of this situation, and I'm going to come out on top no matter. So I try not to stress, because I'm not going to allow anybody or anything to have me have less years on this earth.
And Hannah, it's gonna happen. But what your kids are watching is, how does mom cope? How are you going? Because it's gonna happen. So don't teach them it's not gonna happen. Guess what? You might get fired. You know what I'm saying? The lights might get. But how do we deal with it so that, again, they have those coping skills that you can send them out into the world better prepared?
That's right.
Number 4, temperate autonomy. Temperate autonomy. It's okay to give kids a measure of freedom, but temper it based on accountability and them earning it. You know, because you have to measure it out a certain way. So this giving them all of this freedom, that's not setting them up for success. You know what I'm saying? And so you guys, Hannah and Bert, for example, you got a 10-year-old, whatever. As he gets older, takes on more responsibility, that's when you give him more responsibility. You know, you can step a little bit later, you know, as you earn it. You know what I'm saying? Because again, the example hopefully you're pouring into these young ones, especially that age, is that there's a level of accountability. It's not everything is just given to you. And I'm not going to leave out the adults. The conversations that I do have, and you're going to have with these adult kids, is that you are grown. You know, when you make a decision, there are consequences, some of which I can't bail you out of.
Oh, tell me about it.
You know, so when I talk about, but some parents are scared to have those conversations. I'll say this real quickly. 2 of my brothers who died from HIV and AIDS. I would never say this to my mother's face, but when she made them feel like no matter what decisions they made in life, I can get them out of. And so the progression was from marijuana to this drug to cocaine, HIV and AIDS. There are consequences, real consequences out there for you. So have those conversations with them as adults that, guess what? And they don't have to be nothing tragic, but it can be a conversation as simple as, you know, if you don't pay your bill, your light's gonna get cut off.
Yep.
You know, that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
One thing that my boys will never say is that my dad never said anything, never prepped them in the game. I gave them everything, any and everything that I can say to them, and then some. You can never say, if I'm going, you can never say, my dad never told me.
Right. There you go. And you can live with that.
Yeah.
Last one is positive role models. Positive role models. I can't understate the importance of that, because we also live in a world now where what they're seeing as role models, you got to fight. You know, you got to fight against that. And so I would like to see us get back to a place where when we look at role models, it is a garbage man, it is a cable man, it is somebody with a regular job who works hard every day, takes care of his family. You know, what happened to a time? There used to be a time when you asked kids. You said, Hannah, asking your daughter what she want to be, like she said, a dentist. What happened to a time when kids said, well, I want to be a teacher, you know, I want to be a plumber. Now they want to be influencers. and they want to do some shit that's not realistic, you know, in many cases. So we need to start highlighting more positive role models for our kids, for them to actually have more realistic, you know, goals that's grounded in reality. Because guess what? Everybody ain't gonna be LeBron. You're not gonna play ball. And it's okay to tell a young person you're not good at something. You're not the most gifted person on earth. You know, I miss the good old days when in the Gong Show, when they put a big cane around a motherfucker's neck and drug him off the stage because they not everybody. TikTok got all these young people out here thinking they can sing and dance and everything else.
That's a good point, and you're not gonna be the next biggest YouTuber vlogger with 1 million subscribers.
No,
that don't happen to everybody.
No.
So yeah.
You know what's something so small? When we play family games, I don't take it easy on my kids. We play Monopoly, I'm going hardcore. You know why? Because guess what? I'm not letting you win, because life is not going to let you win. Right. And my mom told me once, and my mom was hard. My mom told me once, oh, how you going to just beat the kids like that in the family game? Because they need to know. Life is not going. We play the game Life and Monopoly. Guess what? It's not going to be easy. Your money's going because you didn't make the right decision.
Man, that should be my favorite game, because it does give you a nice little inkling of real life.
Yep.
And I don't take nothing hard or soft on them. I'm going hard because guess what? When you get out here to the real world,
they ain't gonna go soft on you. Yep.
I told you I wanted to have a little exercise for to leave the group with, or in the viewers. Who out there knows what a genogram is?
A genogram. I have no idea.
Genogram?
Okay. Sis, you know what a genogram is?
No, I don't know nothing about that.
A genogram is a graphic representation of your family tree with detailed data on it about the relationships amongst the individuals in your family.
Okay.
And so here's a cool thing you can do without having to pay that whole thing, and you know, where you send away for your DNA and all that kind of stuff.
Ancestry, you know,
Ancestry.com.
You're not getting none of my DNA.
So I want to share something with you. This is a genogram exercise. It says recognizing a generational curse is the first step in the fight to end it. Genograms can be freeing because they show that you're not the only one in your family who has struggled with specific things. And here's the key. It's designed to bring light to the darkness of generational curses and help you walk forthright in the light. It will help you understand how your family's behavior impacts your relationship with your significant other, friends, and even children. So it's a little exercise you can do. It talks about how to create a genogram, basically. And so it says start by drawing a family tree and include 3 to 4 generations if you can. So on a piece of paper, all you really have to do is go back as far as you can, starting with yourself and then your parents, their parents. And if you can, get to about 3 generations. And what you want to do is as you plug in those things, like your mom and her brothers, this and that, and reach out to those individuals and ask questions. And it gives you an even example of some questions you can start asking. You know, were you impacted by a divorce, a separation, or an affair? Were you impacted by abuse of drugs or alcohol? Have you experienced the death of someone close to you, including a miscarriage or suicide? Did you have cancer or any serious health conditions? What is your greatest fear? Were your parents present? Do you have long-term friends? Were you ever in foster care? Are you a twin? Have you ever put your child up for adoption? Did you or anybody in the family ever run a business? Are you a veteran of the war? Did you have an abortion? You can make up any questions you want. And what's going to happen over time, these questions are going to start to paint a composite picture of who you are. Because how can you truly understand where you're going if you can't go back and look at your past and where you come from? And then you can start to answer those questions for yourself and see a pattern in how it may have led an effect to your relationship with your own children. So I said, I want to pass that on to the group, and it talked about being patient. that creating this genogram is not something you want to rush through. Take your time, because it's going to allow you to be able to collect information. But here's the cool part. This is something you can pass on to your children, because we as African Americans in particular, we're losing our history. We're losing our culture.
Yes.
And this is a cool way to hand this down to our children and ourselves to reconnect. And I'll tell a short story. That's why I wanted to leave a little time with this. At about 10 years ago, I went to visit my sister in Meridian, Mississippi. If you guys have seen the movie Mississippi Burning,
yes, sir,
where the 3 civil rights workers were slain,
right?
You know, the black one, J.E. Chaney, that's our third cousin. And that's how our family ended up in New York.
Okay.
And so I've read about this and I've seen the movie and all this stuff. My sister, one particular day, she gave me a history lesson that you can't get in Jet Magazine or Ebony or nowhere else. She drove me around this entire day and took me to landmarks and talked in great detail about what it was like to grow up in the 50s and 60s at the height of discrimination and the Ku Klux Klan era and things like that. And that conversation, it helped me to understand my own family in ways that I had never had. I ended up having conversations with my sister Sherry, and we end up putting our heads together and figuring out really dark family secrets. We end up figuring out this same sister that I'm talking about, my mom had gave her up. She was raised by her aunt. So she wasn't raised with us. And Sandra and I are the only 2 siblings that have a different last name. And all those years, we could never figure out why she gave Sandra away, because it would have made sense if she was the oldest child. It might have even made sense if she was the youngest child, because maybe I got too many damn kids. Let me give somebody away. But the fact that Sandra fell somewhere in not even in the middle, it was confusing. And me and Sherry end up figuring out that Sandra was the child of rape. My mom had been raped, you know, and some of these deep secrets we're still uncovering. But this genogram exercise, if you take the time to get to know your own family, talk to an uncle, talk to an aunt, ask some questions. You don't even got to tell them what you're doing. That's why I said I wanted to present this to you. But have some of these questions prepared and write it down and start plugging that information in. Go ahead, Kenny.
You know, it's funny you brought this up, and I had the honor of getting on camera, on video camera, interviewing my maternal grandfather 3 months before he died, and I was able to ask him about his life, how he grew up, the depression, all that, about his about my grandmother, because my grandmother died in 1954. So I never knew my maternal grandmother. Wow. So I was able to get to talk to my pawpaw, that's what we call him, and he gave me a lot of great history. And my pawpaw was the first elected black county commissioner in the state of Texas in 1976. So I was able to get a lot of stuff. So when you brought this up, I was like, okay, yeah, I've already, on my maternal side, my grandfather, I was able to speak to him and get this on video that I still have, and I gave to my uncles and my aunt and my mother before she passed. They have a copy of him talking about himself, his life, how he came up. He was born in 1909. All that, you know. Him loaning money to the man that he was sharecropping for. The white man asked him for a loan. So I got all this information on camera. So definitely, man, and that definitely helped me shape, you know, to know where I came from, specifically on my mother's side. Now on my pop's side, I didn't really get that interaction with my grandparents. They both deceased as well, but I know they were sharecroppers too. They were still sharecropping in Tennessee in the early 80s. So I knew I got information on that side too. So yeah, I definitely like this genogram. And I would suggest that anybody go back to the oldest people in your family. Just sit down and get information about because this is how you can break these generational curses. You can kind of figure out where this stuff came from. Okay, I get it. This is why. Oh, this is what's going on. Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
So definitely a good exercise.
I wanted to share that with you guys, and I'm gonna tell you something. It is just a cool way. When I read that, to preserve some history for these young people,
Right.
Because they've lost all sense of self and family, and we hope one day that light bulb goes off and it matters, and now they have something, tangible that they can know who dad was and who dad's dad was, and the family on the other side. And like I said, these are things that when it's lost, you talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls. I'm ending it on a scriptural kind of note. We don't want our own history to be like the Dead Sea Scrolls. So, we're here. We only on this mortal call for a short period of time. We got to make it count.
Yes, sir.
And so that whole inequity passing on to the sins of the father passed on to the sons, it doesn't have to be that way. We can make a difference. We can break these generational curses. We can reverse things and set the wheel turning back in the right direction. And so I just wanted to have this conversation. I know it was a heavy topic. We didn't provide a whole lot of answers, but I hope that we put it on the table like we do here at Real Talk, and it's something that now we can take with us when we leave here and share it with our own family, kids, family, and all of that. So that's it, folks. I appreciate you guys. I really do.
Bravo.
Bravo. Thank you guys.
Great show.
Great show.
Thank you guys. So man, so I love seeing all you guys. So hey, thank you, Karma Dizzy and Jenny, and different ones who had comments in the background. I truly appreciate you. Brendan, I was looking for you to come on, my brother. We'll get you next time. Joseph, your commentary as always is right on point. Candace, thank you for the pecan, sweetheart. Even if you can't come on, I appreciate you just showing the love. I love it. Derek, appreciate you, my brother, for popping in. So I don't care if you pop in for 1 minute or you stay for an hour. I really appreciate you guys. I really, really do. So
shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, baby.
They did
yeah,
it. I wanted a game 7. Kenny, I wanted a game 7.
No, I didn't. I wanted
a game 7.
So I had to do that. My bad. Shameless plug.
They did that. Antetokounmpo did his thing. Yes, sir. He did his thing. Yes, he did.
Sir.
About that.
Yes, he did. So
I'm
look. I'm glad he got it. I would have been okay with Chris Brown getting it too.
50 and 14. That's all I'm gonna say. 50 and 14 last night. That's how you close it out, man. That's how you close it out.
He earned that.
He earned that. Give a bow. Thank you.
He earned that. Candace want us to know that's her hometown that took it.
Yes, sir.
That's all.
Fear the deer.
There you go. There you go. Y'all did your thing.
Kenny and Candace, okay.
What's up?
Only because of my homie Candace.
So I will see everybody on Sunday. I will post the topic tomorrow. We're gonna have some fun. What are we talking about on Sunday, Tasha? Are we playing that game?
Yeah, think about it like this, so that everybody get their mind around it.
This is gonna be fun.
It's the end of the world. We have to leave Earth, okay? We have to leave Earth.
Oh, no.
And we're going to build a time capsule to leave some stuff behind. It's going to include music, books, movies, TV shows.
This is going to be fun.
And it has to, so we're going to do it 2 ways. One for Black America and one for White America. So please
I gotta make sure I'm available.
We only leaving movies, TV show. We ain't leaving no.
It's gonna be fun. Okay, it's gonna be very specific.
I'm gonna tackle both my sides, so I'm ready.
I gotta make sure I'm available for that. Okay.
We're gonna have some fun with this. So I told you guys we got some special stuff planned as me and Tasha we got things coming up. So I hope to see you there on Sunday. And if you can't make it, you know what? Go back and watch the video. Click on it.
Click on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely. So we appreciate you. Love you guys. Good to see everybody. So as I said at the top of this is my favorite time of the week. The show is over. We're on the other side of hump day. We got 2 more days to make it through this week. Everybody be happy. Have a great night's rest and enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll see you guys on Sunday.
All right. Peace, everybody.
Yes, sir. Real talk for real men.
Yeah.